The Tommy Campbell Show. Last week, Donald Trump was getting mocked by a random guy standing behind him, mimicking his every move at a rally. This week, Donald Trump somehow managed to turn a state funeral into a comedy festival. Between the Tic Tacs, the Casket, Sean Hannity's eulogy, and Donald doxing Lindsey Graham's phone number, I'm honestly not sure which part was the most insane. But let's start with the moment Donald Trump's own Secret Service detail was nearly taken out by his big boy pants biological weapon. Neither can contain themselves. Trump is crashing out, getting rid of a few Big Macs, and that agent is not scanning the room for snipers, he's praying for an oxygen mask. And he wasn't the only one caught. Eric's makeup lab explosion survivor wife was checking her watch, wondering when she could have another bottle of wine, and he had to shoot her a look. Doubt Dad noticed, though. He was asleep half the time, and when he was awake, he still struggled with the basics. Remember that cute moment when George W. offered up a mint to Michelle Obama and the two shared a smile, and then it became a whole tradition with him sharing Altoids at major events? Well, Donald Trump tried to do a similar thing this week, except he went for Tic Tacs, which ironically is the same name he gives to that attention span destroying video platform. Only he had trouble finding his own mouth, trouble opening the container. If getting a mint past your own lips was on the cognitive test, that would be one more place he'd fail. This is also the same guy that did this. He gives the casket a double tap like he's checking a watermelon at the grocery store.
Subscribe.
That was real. That's his real casket, not this mock-up draped in a grinder flag. But did this really happen? I didn't make this, but it's wild and hilarious. Also frightening. I just hope AI is as good at this as it is at curing cancer. Come on. I can't take credit for that clip. It's making the rounds. It is fantastic. What's insane about this is, like, you're looking at that thinking, it could happen. A dead senator with a pink wand laser feels more grounded in reality than what Sean Hannity actually says a few minutes later.
Lindsey, Mr. President, I would argue in my mind, probably has a heavenly version of Mar-a-Lago. It may even be a little bigger. He may have a little more gold in the Oval Office in his mansion in heaven. And I wouldn't be surprised if he added one big, beautiful ballroom and an arch somewhere on the property, because he would want to obviously duplicate his dearest friend in life, you, Mr. President.
Imagine giving a eulogy for your friend and using your time at the pulpit to brown-nose the president. Don't worry, Mr. President. Even in paradise, Lindsey's main goal in life is replicating your Florida resort. What does this heavenly Mar-a-Lago even look like? Is Lindsey putting classified documents next to golden toilets and trafficking teens through the spa too? Sean, you're at a state funeral. You're not pitching a timeshare. Also, heaven. Sorry to burst your bubble, but it's kind of like made up. It's a fairy tale for kids.
I shared his personal cell phone number with the millions of people that happened to be watching that particular day as I made a speech, a very important speech. And I remember the number 202-228-0292 if anybody wants to give it a shot. And he was extremely hawkish. I will tell you, he never saw a war that he didn't like. Only his true friends would understand that, but he wanted it for the good of our country.
So his biggest moment of his speech is doxing Lindsey Graham's private cell phone number live on global television. Trump thinks it's fun, a little nostalgia trip back to 2015, completely ignoring that a personal cell number can be the master key to someone's entire digital life. That one number is tied to bank accounts, two-factor authentication, private email, and everything you need to manage an estate. Even though Lindsey has passed away, his family and executors are sitting right there, stuck trying to settle his affairs. And Trump just made that infinitely harder. When you publicly expose a cell number, you invite spam, phishing attempts, SIM swap attacks, and password reset requests from every scammer on the planet. Congratulations, Donald. You just handed every Russian bot and identity thief on Telegram the keys to Lindsey Graham's digital life. Rest in peace, Lindsey. Here's a SIM swap attack for your executors to clean up. And the war thing is so wild, like giving a final farewell to a long-serving politician, and your headline compliment is that he was an unhinged, bloodthirsty maniac for foreign military intervention. Not a word about his public service. Not a word about his character, just great guy, loved a good bomb. Never met an airstrike he couldn't get behind. Imagine being in the front row as Lindsey's family, listening to the president summarize his life work as an endless appetite for World War III. Vaccines save lives. Unfortunately, they don't cure Rand Paul's mental issues. Thank you, Gavin Newsom, for that. This entire Fauci hearing is peak idiocracy and pretty telling that Rand Paul is an eye doctor, yet he can't see how ridiculous it is to lecture Dr. Fauci, a world-renowned immunologist with decades of experience in infectious diseases. Rand acts like he's a hard-hitting prosecutor when the only thing he's truly qualified to cross-examine is a guy trying to renew his driver's license without a new prescription. Trump literally gave Fauci the presidential commendation before leaving office, yet MAGA's hunting him like Batman going after the Joker.
This stuff with science, Jasmine, I want to emphasize, tells us now works. He was saying didn't work. I had 1 million doses of hydroxychloroquine in warehouses as the defense policy coordinator for the DPA that I was trying to distribute to hospitals, and he got the FDA to stop me from doing that. Thousands of people could be here in this country right now alive if I had been able to distribute that, take that to the bank. That's what the science says.
Okay, I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot about that.
Peter Navarro is out here sounding like a guy whose stash of Beanie Babies just lost all their resale value. Oh, I can't be eBaying anything now. He's genuinely hurt that Dr. Fauci wouldn't let him distribute 1 million doses of unproven malaria pills to American hospitals during a respiratory pandemic. Navarro has literally 0 medical credentials. He's a bad economist who spent 4 months in federal prison. He's out there crying MAGA tears like he was running a pharmaceutical Costco and Fauci came in and canceled his membership. Navarro is not a doctor and doesn't have a single shred of scientific background, but sits there claiming he knows more than a guy who ran infectious disease research for over 4 decades. This is the same genius who just went on a rant bashing the Canadian government for challenging Trump's illegal tariffs. The only thing Peter Navarro understands about international trade or pharmacology is whatever barter system he learned in the Miami federal prison. So if you need to trade 3 Marlboros for a tub of Vaseline, he's your expert. Anything beyond that, the guy has no idea what he's talking about.
It's crazy. I don't know if you heard about the BLT sandwich using human fetus baby parts in the vaccine when they could have used ivermectin, but maybe they're helping the big pharma get rich. If he were to be convicted of contempt, it'd be a $100,000 fine up to a year in jail. But that's not enough. And Senator Scott said he's hiding behind a fake Autopen pardon. So I'm hoping that he gets accountability and justice.
A BLT sandwich using human fetus parts in the vaccine. And she's sitting there nodding along like, this is a real thing. I don't know what Subway you're going to, but I always order like the cold cut trio, not the bacon, lettuce, tomato, and fetal tissue. These people are attacking Fauci based on chain emails and posts by their crazy uncles on Facebook. He's out there still trying to push horse dewormer as a solution, which is again made by the exact same big pharma he claims to be against, while arguing that Dr. Fauci's presidential pardon doesn't even count because it was signed using Autopen. He's treating a mechanical pen like it's a forged clue in a Scooby-Doo episode. Every president uses Autopen and e-signatures. Does anyone seriously think Donald Trump is personally signing every 250th anniversary passport his administration issues? My versions are definitely better. Have you seen Trump's signature? It already looks like an EKG having a cardiac arrest. Imagine document number 100,000. The White House would just run out of custom black Sharpies, and by the end it'd just flatten into one exhausted black line across the page on the passport. I make this independent show on my own. If you love what I do, consider leaving me a tip, become a member for extras, hit up my referral links, and stream my stand-up on Spotify.
Fauci been more forthcoming. I think how we handled that virus, and look, I don't want to, play down the effects of the virus, but at the end of the day, it had roughly a 1% mortality rate. We could have gotten through this, and Anthony Fauci owes the American people an explanation. I think at the end of the day, it was all about CYA, and he was protecting his image, which is why he pushed the lockdowns. He was trying to protect his image, because if he kept it locked down long enough, it would have looked like he was the hero, but instead he created economic disaster.
Yeah, I think that's well stated.
Yeah.
The term mad scientist comes to mind in a lot of these entries into his diary.
Andy Ogles, with his 1% mortality rate, napkin arithmetic, like it's some minor inconvenience, completely ignoring the real world numbers. In the US alone, over 1.2 million Americans actually died of COVID. I mean, that's more than the population of Austin, Texas. It's more American lives lost than World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War, and 9/11 combined, with the World Health Organization estimating the actual excess death toll was closer to 20 million human lives. But Ogles wants to sit in a congressional hearing and talk like he's managing a fantasy football league. Hey, 1.2 million dead Americans. We could have gotten through it. The world did get through it, and it would have been a lot easier if we didn't have to deal with people like you.
And they've been negotiating the deals, pretty generously in the sense that they've been happening all over the place because the data centers are very good for towns because they create so many jobs, bring people in with high incomes that could buy houses and stuff like that. And so if you take a sleepy town that hasn't really seen much in the last 20, 30 years and put a data center there, then they're going to be a whole bunch of happy residents of that town.
Look at Kevin Hassett out here selling AI data centers like the cute little artisan coffee shops bringing high-income hipsters to sleepy rural towns. Bringing so many great jobs, the residents are going to be thrilled. Has Hassett ever actually stood next to a commercial AI data center in his life? These things don't employ hundreds of local families. They employ about 12 guys to reboot servers and check coolant levels. What they do is bring 24/7 industrial hum from massive cooling fans that rattles your windows and drives every dog within 5 miles completely insane. Does that sound like a thriving community boom to you? That sounds like living beside the engine room of a Boeing 747 that's been idling on the runway for the last 6 months. Hassett talks like the town landed a new economic engine. What they actually got was a giant concrete warehouse that drinks half the country's water supply and sounds like a jet engine parked outside your bedroom at 3 in the morning. No high-income people are there because of that data center, and no high-income people would want to live near that. Why don't you make a ring that has all the wars he's stopped engraved on it, or dose that not fit your agenda? Okay, you can't turn on a news channel anywhere on Earth without seeing an active conflict this guy ignited. Yet you're still out here pretending he's some grand peacemaker. He literally rebranded the Department of Defense back to the Department of War and swore he'd solve Russia and Ukraine on day one. Well, it's August now. He's missed that deadline by almost 560 days. I was far from a star student, but I did wrap my head around basic punctuation. I know the difference between does and dose. And I can tell when someone's entire worldview comes straight from the comment section of a serial liar's social media platform. MAGA-tears. Draft Dodger, okay. When did Hussein Obama serve Brandon? Nice try. Okay, it looks like my ring mock-ups clearly triggered the F your feelings crowd. It's not about whether a leader personally served in the military. It's about a guy whose daddy got one of his apartment tenants to fabricate a bone spur deferment while he was literally playing college basketball. And it always blows my mind when these people drop the Hussein middle name flex, great spelling on Hussein, by the way, or try to attack Biden, whose eldest son Beau actually served overseas and died from cancer related to his deployment. Meanwhile, Trump called troops losers and suckers, and his own adult sons spend their free time poaching endangered animals and running crypto grifts. MAGA-tears. Prison yard. If you need to trade 3 Marlboros for a tub of Vaseline, I'm not saying that's what he was doing. He wasn't the only one caught. Eric's makeup lab explosion survivor. It's funny because it's true. Between the Tic Tacs, the Casket, Sean Hannity's eulogy before leaving office, yet MAGA's hunting him like Batman going after the jerker. The jerker. That sounds like another Peter North film. Decades of public service, not a word about his character, just great guy, loved a good bomb. Bomb. Loved a great bomb, loved a good bomb. They're too close. Oh my gosh.
The Tommy Campbell Show is the best political comedy show on YouTube. And I hope you subscribe.